Up next is our youngest storyteller of the evening. Robeson Amory is going to tell us a story about drawing near to love and sharing an early childhood memory. Come on up, Robeson.
I don't have mine memorized then. For me, Christmas has always been a time for gathering with family. Most of my extended family lives in California, and I would usually only see them once a year. I have 2 aunts, 1 uncle, 2 cousins, and a grandma, or should I say had. Even though my family isn't huge, my grandma's house always felt filled up with this sense of love and community. My cousins are both older than I, and being around them always made me feel like I had 2 older kids to show me how to act and to protect me. My cousin James is the eldest. He's about 8 years older than I. Throughout my life, he has consistently been the coolest and funniest person I know. My other cousin, Sarah, has always been more of a friend. Our age gap is a lot closer, and we have spent more time doing things together, like making plays, trying to capture their cat, Buster, making parachutes for tiny stuffed animals. James is always more of a mythical figure in my life. I didn't understand most of the stuff he was even into, but when his friends came over, he would always include me. Both of my aunts are artistic types. Aunt Marion, who is the mother of James and Sarah, is a playwright, and my Aunt Sarah owns a dance company. My grandmother is one of the most caring people I know. She worked for charity all her life, even into her old age. She protested frequently and worked weekly in a program called Food Not Bombs, which provides lunches for homeless people in People's Park. However, Grandma died about 5 years ago. We stopped going to California as much after that. James got older and went off to college around then as well. But that actually came after this particular story. When I went to think about Christmas stories, what came to mind is a small moment, but it has to do with Christmas excitement, distance, being part of a family, and love. Sounds like a Hallmark movie tagline, but whatever. All my life, I've been really interested in technology. Computers, phones, video games, all of it. Even though I enjoy playing games and whatnot, I love the idea that some small box could do all these amazing things. Despite my sometimes obsessive interest, I never really had any technology for myself when I was young. My mom had gotten an iPhone, we had an iPad, but nothing I was allowed to use. So I hadn't been exposed to video games. But the year I turned 9, that changed. A lot of my friends had started getting video game consoles, and when I went to their house, I naturally wanted to play. I fell in love with the idea that I was the architect of this digital avatar's fate. I finally had some measure of control in my life. For most of the day, I did what I was told. I went to school, I did my homework, I practiced. All things that I didn't necessarily hate, just activities I had no choice in doing. So, naturally, I really wanted a Wii. That was what was cool at the time. I was pretty sure I wasn't going to get one. I mean, my parents had never been crazy about tech, still aren't. So why should it now be any different? Enter Christmas Eve. I didn't have high hopes, and to be honest, I wasn't even considering it as a gift option. When I woke up on Christmas, at an ungodly hour, I'm sure, I quickly raced downstairs, almost out of my mind with excitement, only to remember that I had to wait until my parents woke up to open presents. After an agonizing hour's wait, my parents finally came downstairs, although my brother might have had something to do with that. As I was tearing through my stocking, I noticed a game for a Wii. Mind you, just a game, nothing to play it on. I just thought my parents didn't know how video games worked, so I would pretend it was super cool, play it at my friend's house later. Some presents later, I opened the Wii, and it made a lot more sense. I think I was in more disbelief than even excitement. So far, I haven't really talked about my extended family, but they do factor into this, I promise. So if we didn't go to California, we would always call our family members on Christmas. After the incessant tearing of wrapping paper had died down a little, we called our family. The phone was passed around, and after a little while, I got to talk to my cousin James. I really wanted to share my incredible luck, and I told him I got a Wii. He said to me, I wish I got a Wii. I only got an elephant. And to my mind, this sounded reasonable. I mean, he lived in California. California's hot. Elephants live in Africa, and Africa's always hot. So why not? Plus, he was James. He was my older cousin. I practically idolized him. He then continued, we only got a baby elephant. An adult one wouldn't fit in our house. Again, this sounded reasonable. I knew the house. They were living with Grandma at the time to take care of her. Where would they fit a full-grown elephant? Now, a baby one was reasonable. He talked about the food they needed to get, and there was some bamboo in the backyard, so it could eat that. I knew about the bamboo. It was next to the berries that we would pick during the summer visits. His story checked out. So this Christmas was really special to me. I got this incredible gift, and I had this neat sense of family. And even though we were 3,000 miles apart, James was still being James. His jokes were never harmful at all. They were always well-spirited and made me feel a part of his humor, never the subject of it. And that was what was so cool. He was so much older than I, but he made the effort to include me, even over the phone on Christmas Day. Thank you.